I'm Tom Kilbride. I currently serve as a justice on the Illinois Supreme Court. For 20 years prior to becoming a judge, I practiced law in Illinois. In the last 7, I was a sole practitioner. I did some things right, made a few mistakes along the way, and I wanted to share with you some suggestions on how to build a solo practice and try and keep yourself on track. On practice reminders, let me offer 3 suggested points. One is to keep the practice as simple as you can, to concentrate on a specific area or specific areas as opposed to trying to be the lawyer for every client who walks through the front door. I think another suggestion is to use checklists, basic ideas of things that have to happen in every single case for you and your staff. And I had one employee, a secretary who was sort of my office manager, investigator, paralegal, who did it all. But whoever works with you and yourself have a checklist to get things done. And finally, as a practice reminder, I would always get a mentor, somebody to help you, an attorney, a friend who's an attorney who can guide you along the way. Those are my suggestions on that. On marketing, again, 3 points. I think the best tool to get business is to do a good job for each client. And if you've done a good job with a client, then make sure you ask that client, assuming he or she is happy with your work, to remember you always, to refer you to other friends, relatives, associates in business, and so forth. And the final suggestion on marketing is if you do advertising, and when I did advertising 14 some years ago, it was all in the yellow pages. Today, people are on the internet. But I would target your advertising to clients on specific kinds of cases that you'll handle, and that should help you bring in new business. On the area of fees, again, 3 suggestions. 1, always make fee expectations clear so the client knows what he or she is expected to pay. Always get a retainer agreement, put it in writing so you and the client know what's going to be paid. And when you bill, make sure you make a bill that's descriptive, that tells the client what you did for that client on a particular day. That's going to help a long ways down the road. Now, on handling the office operations, the cash flow to keep the business running, in Maryland, I'm sure you have interest on lawyer trust accounts, rules that you have to do to keep track of. Don't try and do that on your own. Hire an accountant or a bookkeeper, somebody who can do it for you to keep track of your bills, your expenses, the trust accounts. And in fact, you could pool that service with another attorney or 2 attorneys, and then get an agreement among you to retain those professional services. And then the other idea is maybe to even use a virtual office, to share a common office space, to work with other attorneys to cut down on your expenses. On scheduling, there's a motto that I always use, is to work the calendar. Don't let your calendar work you. Otherwise, you'll never find time for personal, for family matters, for appointments. And think about when you need time for personal things, whether it's doctor appointments, just schedule them, put them on your book the same way you would as a court hearing or a deposition. And then clients go nuts if you don't call them back. And you've got to set up a system to return phone calls, whether you're returning the phone calls or you give information to your assistant, your secretary to call back. But set deadlines, whether it's a 6-hour rule, a 12-hour rule, a 24-hour deadline. And if you're in trial and you're going to be tied up and can't call, clients understand that. So you need to explain that. Have your assistant explain that you're not going to be available. On the question of working a schedule, your professional life, your personal life, I had a motto that was learn to work the calendar and don't let the calendar work you. Because if you get so tied up, so wrapped up in your work that you can't keep track of your personal life, your family matters, you're not going to find time for appointments, whether it's time to go visit the school for your daughter, your son, time for medical appointments. When you have to, and including vacations, by the way, you need to schedule that in advance, put it on the book as if it were a deposition in a court hearing, and then you reserve that time. And the other item I'd like to talk about is a matter that drives clients nuts. And that's when they call the office and they don't get a call back. And I can't say that I was the best at that, but I think you have to establish a policy in your office, a deadline, a personal deadline, whether it's 6 hours to call people back, 12 hours to call them back, 24 hours. The best is to take the call when it comes in the door at the office, but many times you can't. Many times you're in trial. Then the client needs to know you're in trial, and they'll understand that you're not available to return the phone call immediately. And if they leave a question with the secretary, your assistant, if you can't call back and directly tell them what's going on, then you should share with them, with the assistant, some bit of information so they know you heard the message and you're able to get back to them with some kind of information. And let me make this suggestion. Our practices are so busy, so chaotic. It's very important to learn to slow down and to listen to the clients, listen to yourself, listen to your family. I know when looking back on my practice, I would say that most mistakes I made is because I was trying to go just too fast and didn't concentrate on exactly what needed to be done. So you need to learn to slow down and to listen. Those are some of my quick suggestions. I hope they're helpful, useful to you in your practice, and I wish you the best throughout your legal careers. Thank you.